The old man's rasp cut through the sterile hum of the hospital room like a jagged knife. "Connor, you're a goddamn disgrace to this family." Those were Grandpa Harlan's last words, spat out with the venom of a lifetime's regrets. His liver-spotted hand clutching the bedsheet as if it could anchor him to a world that had already slipped away. Connor froze at the bedside, the heart monitor's flatline piercing the air like a final accusation, while his mother sobbed into his father's shoulder across the room, tears that tasted of betrayal long unspoken. In that instant, the weight of every sidelong glance at family dinners, every hushed whisper behind his back since he'd come out at 17, crashed down on Connor like the summer storms that rattled the windows of their modest ranch house in rural Ohio. He was 25 now, a graphic designer scraping by in Columbus, but in Harlan's eyes, he'd always be the boy who'd shattered the family legacy. The straight-A student turned fairy, as his uncle once slurred over bourbon at Thanksgiving. Connor's throat tightened, words dying on his lips as nurses bustled in, drawing the curtain on the man who'd raised him after his parents' divorce, the same man who'd taught him to fish the Scioto River at dawn, only to recoil when Connor dared to love like the river flowed, wild and unapologetic. He stumbled out into the parking lot, the November chill biting through his thin jacket, phone buzzing with texts from Evan. "How's it going? Miss you already." Evan, his anchor, his secret fire, waited back in their cramped apartment, probably pacing the kitchen with that worried furrow in his brow, the one that made Connor want to pull him close and never let go. But tonight, grief twisted into something sharper, a blade of doubt. Was Grandpa right? Was loving Evan fierce? Tattooed Evan with his laugh like thunder and eyes that saw straight through Connor's walls. Really the end of everything worth salvaging? The drive home blurred into a haze of taillights on I-71, rain slicking the windshield like unshed tears. By the time Connor pushed through the door, Evan was there, wordless, wrapping arms around him that smelled of coffee and fresh ink from his shift at the tattoo parlor. "He said it," Connor whispered into Evan's neck, voice cracking. "Right before he flatlined. Called me a disgrace." Evan's grip tightened, but he didn't speak, not yet. In the dim light of their living room, posters of indie bands peeling at the edges, they sank to the couch, Evan's fingers tracing the tattoo on Connor's wrist. A simple wave, inked the night they'd first said, "I love you," under the fireworks at the Ohio State Fair. That night, sleep evaded Connor like a ghost. He lay staring at the ceiling fan's lazy spin, memories flooding in unbidden. Grandpa Harlan had been the rock of the Gallagher clan, a Korean war vet who'd built their hardware store from scratch in Millersburg, the kind of small-town Ohio staple where locals still bartered eggs for nails. Widowed young, he'd raised Connor's mom and her siblings with iron-fisted love, quoting Reagan at the dinner table and preaching family above all. "Blood's thicker than pride. Boy," he'd say, clapping Connor on the back after Little League wins. But pride, that word had soured when Connor, 15, got caught kissing Tommy Riley behind the bleachers at a Friday night game. Whispers spread like wildfire through the bleachers, and Harlan's disappointment had been a quiet storm. No yelling, just a letter left on Connor's pillow, typed on store stationery. "Men don't bend that way, son. Fix it before it breaks us all." Connor had tried. God, he'd tried. Dates with girls from church youth group, awkward fumblings that left him hollow. College at Ohio State was supposed to be his escape, art classes where he could sketch the curve of a jawline without judgment. But that's where he met Evan, in a dive bar off High Street, nursing a cheap beer after a brutal critique. Evan, 22 then, with his sleeve of tattoos telling stories of foster homes and redemption, had slid onto the stool next to him. Rough day? He'd asked, voice like gravel wrapped in silk. Connor had spilled it all. The prof's red pen, the homesickness, the ache of hiding. Evan listened, then leaned in. Hiding's just another cage. Man. Break out. Their first date was at the Short North Arts Festival. Wandering galleries under string lights, Evan's hand brushing Connor's until it stayed. That night, in Evan's beat-up truck parked by the Olentangy River, they kissed like the world was ending. Slow at first, then desperate. Evan's calloused fingers mapping Connor's skin as if committing it to memory. "You're not a disgrace," Evan murmured against his lips. "You're a fucking revelation." For the first time, Connor believed it. But family pulled like gravity. Summers back in Millersburg meant dodging questions, enduring Aunt Rita's pitying smiles and Uncle Dale's jokes about turning the other cheek. Harlan watched him like a hawk, the warmth in his eyes dimming with each visit. Last Christmas, when Connor slipped and mentioned Evan's name, casual, over pie, Harlan's fork had clattered to the plate. "That what you're wasting your life on? Some drifter?" The room had gone silent, Mom's face paling as she changed the subject to the Browns' lousy season. Connor fled to the porch. Snow falling soft and unforgiving. Evan's text lighting up his phone. "Come home. Whatever it is, we've got this." Now, with Harlan gone, the funeral loomed like a storm cloud. Connor's phone rang at dawn. His mom, voice thick with sleep and sorrow. "We need you here, Con, for the reading of the will." "Tomorrow," he agreed, because what choice did he have? Blood, after all. But as he hung up, Evan stirred beside him, pulling him close. "You don't have to go alone," Evan said, eyes serious in the half-light. "I'm coming. If you want." Connor hesitated, the old fears clawing back. Bringing Evan to Millersburg was like waving a red flag in a bullpen, Harlan's bullpen, now his siblings. But Evan's gaze held steady, that quiet strength that had carried them through Evan's parole hearing last year, when a bar fight from his wild days nearly derailed everything. "Yeah," Connor said finally, pressing a kiss to Evan's temple. "I want." The drive to Millersburg was a 3-hour crawl through cornfields turning gold with autumn, the radio flipping between country ballads and NPR segments on the latest Supreme Court whispers about marriage equality. Evan drove, one hand on the wheel, the other laced with Connor's, thumb rubbing circles over knuckles. They talked little at first, Evan sharing stories of his latest client, a burly trucker getting a phoenix on his back to mark sobriety, Connor venting about a freelance gig gone south. But as the miles ticked down, the silence thickened with what-ifs. "You think they'll even let me in the door?" Evan asked, half joking, as they passed the faded billboard for Harlan's Hardware, tools for life's toughest jobs since '52. Connor squeezed his hand. "They will if I say so. It's my family, not a tribunal," but doubt gnawed. His mom, Linda, had always been the buffer, hugging him tight after Harlan's barbs, whispering, "Your grandpa loves you, he just doesn't know how to say it." Uncle Dale, though, the brother who'd inherited the store and a matching streak of homophobia, raised on Harlan's war stories and Fox News rants. And Aunt Rita, with her passive-aggressive prayer chains. Bringing Evan was a declaration, and declarations in Millersburg came with fallout. They arrived at the family home as dusk settled, the ranch house glowing warm against the chill, porch light flickering like a hesitant welcome. Linda met them at the door, her hug fierce, eyes red-rimmed but kind. "Oh, honey," she murmured to Connor, then turned to Evan with a tentative smile. "And you must be? Evan," he said, extending a hand, his tattooed forearm a stark contrast to the pearl necklace at her throat. "Connor's partner." Linda's smile held, though her gaze flickered. "Come in, both of you. Dinner's almost ready." Inside, the air smelled of pot roast and grief. Photos of Harlan lining the mantel. Young soldier grinning in fatigues. Older man with a fish on the line. Arm around a gap-toothed Connor. Dale and Rita were there. Dale nursing a beer. Rita stirring gravy with mechanical precision. The greetings were polite. Dale's nod curt. Rita's "bless your heart," laced with scripture. But tension hummed like a live wire. Over dinner, talk skirted the edges. Harlan's last days. The store's dipping sales. The plot at Oakwood Cemetery. Connor picked at his food. Evan's knee steady against his under the table. Then Dale leaned back, eyes on Connor. "So, Dad's gone. Leaves a hell of a hole. You planning to stick around for the funeral? Or?" The "or" hung heavy, implying the city life, the lifestyle Harlan had despised. "I'm here," Connor said evenly. "For Mom. For all of us," Rita chimed in, voice syrupy. "Family's about forgiveness, dear. Your grandpa. He had his ways, but he meant well." Evan's grip tightened under the table, but he stayed silent, a rock in the current. That night, they crashed in Connor's old room, the twin bed a squeeze that forced them close. "They're staring daggers," Evan whispered, lips brushing Connor's ear. "Let 'em," Connor replied, turning to capture his mouth, a kiss that tasted of rebellion and home. In the dark, with the house creaking around them, felt like defiance, like claiming space in a world that wanted him small. The next morning brought the lawyer's office, a squat brick building on Main Street, rain pattering against the windows like impatient fingers. The family gathered in a conference room that smelled of stale coffee and old paper. Linda twisting a tissue, Dale tapping his foot, Rita clutching her Bible, Connor and Evan side by side on the vinyl chairs. Mr. Hargrove, Harlan's attorney since the Nixon era, cleared his throat, spectacles perched on his nose. Harlan Gallagher was a man of few words but many preparations. He began, unfolding the will. Assets tallied. The house to Linda, the store to Dale with strings on expansion, a trust for Rita's grandkids. Connor's heart sank, no mention, just like he'd feared. A disgrace didn't get a dime. Then Hargrove paused, pulling an envelope from his briefcase, yellowed, sealed with wax, addressed in Harlan's shaky script, to be read after my passing. To my family. Special instructions, Hargrove said. Harlan wanted this opened together. Dale snorted. Probably some old war yarn, but as Hargrove broke the seal, the room stilled. He cleared his throat again and began to read aloud, voice steady as the rain outside swelled. My dearest family, if you're hearing this, I'm dust on the wind, fishing better streams than the Scioto ever offered. I spent my life building store shelves, family bonds, walls against the world's storms. But walls crack, and mine did long ago. Connor's breath caught. Harlan's words flowed on, unspooling a life hidden in plain sight. I was 20, stationed in Pusan, when I met him. Private Ellis Eli Thorne, tough as boot leather, with a laugh that cut through the shelling like sunlight. We shared foxholes, cigarettes, secrets no straight arrow farm boy from Ohio should know. Eli saved my life twice, I like to think I did the same for him. After the armistice, he shipped stateside first. We wrote, Lord, how we wrote until his letters stopped. I came home, married your grandmother because that's what men did, buried the ache under mortgages and kids. But Eli never left me. Neither did the shame. Gasps rippled. Rita's hand to her mouth. Dale's beer forgotten mid-sip. Connor's pulse thundered. Evan's hand finding his in the shadows. I called Connor a disgrace on my deathbed because I saw my own ghost in him. The fear, the fire. But son, you're no disgrace. You're braver than I ever was, loving open when I hid. The store? Half's yours, Dale. But the other half, Connor, is for you to run or sell. Your call. No strings but this live true. Eli's last letters enclosed. Read it. No, you're not alone. Forgive an old fool. Blood's thicker than pride, don't let pride thicken the blood. Harlan. The room erupted in silence. Then sobs, Linda's wrenching, Rita's whispered prayers. Dale stared at the floor, face ashen. Hargrove slid the enclosure across. A brittle letter, postmarked 1954, Eli's handwriting looping like a lover's promise. Harlan, my heart, wait for me. We'll find our river yet. Connor's vision blurred, tears hot on his cheeks. Evan pulled him close, right there in the lawyer's office, uncaring of eyes. He knew, Connor whispered, voice breaking. All along, in the days that followed, Millersburg shifted like sand under tide. Dale thawed first, awkward over coffee at the store. Dad never said. Hell, none of us knew. Rita baked pies laced with apologies, quoting Leviticus less, listening more. Linda clung to Connor like she'd nearly lost him twice. But the real unraveling came at the funeral, under a sky bruised with clouds. Oakwood Cemetery sprawled green and solemn, Harlan's casket draped in the American flag, bugler playing taps that echoed off the headstones. The family stood graveside, Evan at Connor's elbow, his presence a quiet claim. Whispers from cousins mingled with the wind. Who's that? Connor's friend. But no one challenged. As the minister droned on eternal rest, Connor stepped forward, envelope in hand, Eli's letter, photocopied for the eulogy. Grandpa wasn't perfect, he began, voice steady despite the knot in his throat. He built walls to keep us safe, but sometimes those walls kept him locked in. He read Eli's words aloud, the crowd shifting, a hush falling like grace. Gasps, nods, a few tears from strangers who'd known Harlan's silences. When he finished, Evan squeezed his hand, and Connor met his eyes, blue as the river they'd fish come spring. For Grandpa, Connor said softly. And for us. The wake at the house stretched into evening, neighbors streaming in with casseroles and condolences. Dale pulled Connor aside in the kitchen, beer in hand, voice gruff. Store's half yours, kid. Dad meant it. Maybe. We could run it together, modernize a bit. Your designs, my muscle. Connor nodded, throat tight. Yeah. Together, later, on the porch where snowflakes dusted the railings, Evan wrapped him in a coat against the cold. You okay? Better than okay. Connor leaned in, forehead to Evan's. He saw me. Really saw. Their kiss was soft, unhurried, the kind that promised tomorrows. Inside, laughter mingled with low talk. Rita sharing a story of Harlan's unexplained trips to Cleveland in the 60s, Dale admitting he'd burned Eli's letters in a fit of confusion after finding them in the attic. Forgiveness unfurled like the first crocus after frost. As they drove back to Columbus that night, the highway unspooling under stars, Connor felt the weight lift. Not gone, but shared. Evan hummed along to the radio, a Springsteen tune about glory days and open roads. "What's next? Gallagher?" he asked, grin sly. Connor smiled, hand on Evan's thigh. Rivers to fish. Tattoos to design. A life without hiding. And in the quiet miles, with Eli's words folded in his pocket like a talisman, Connor knew. Disgrace was just another word for unseen. Love, though, that was the revelation that left them all speechless. Weeks blurred into a tentative rhythm after the funeral. The kind of fragile peace that follows a storm, branches down, but roots intact. Connor shuttled between Columbus and Millersburg, sketching logos for the store's rebrand on his laptop while Dale grumbled productively about inventory. "This Gallagher and Son sign looks too fancy," Dale would say, but he'd hang it anyway. The ampersand a bridge neither had built alone. Evan tagged along sometimes, his tattoo gun traded for a hammer, inking murals on the back wall, waves crashing into tools, a nod to Harlan's Rivers and Connor's ink. Nights in the city apartment were sanctuary. Evan cooked, chili simmering with stories of his mom's recipes from before the system chewed her up, while Connor edited freelance pitches, the glow of his screen casting shadows that danced like secrets shared. One evening, as snow dusted the fire escape, Evan knelt by the coffee table, pulling a small box from his pocket. "Not much," he said, voice rough. "But for the guy who makes hiding feel like flying." Inside, a silver ring, etched with a wave curling into a compass rose. Simple, sturdy mason mark from Evan's apprenticeship days. Connor's breath hitched, slipping it on. "Evan, marry me?" Not a question, really a vow wrapped in gravel. Connor pulled him up, kiss fierce and yes silent. Hell yes, but joy's undercurrent carried undercurrents. Connor's phone buzzed more from Millersburg. Linda's updates on sorting Harlan's attic. Rita's invites to prayer circles rebranded as support groups. And then, the letter, Eli's original. Hargrove had mailed it discreet, wrapped in tissue like fragile bone. Connor read it alone first. By lamplight, Evan's steady breathing the only sound. "Harlan, the nights here are endless without your voice. Remember that ridge above the Han? We'll climb one stateside, watch the sun rise on a world that doesn't know us yet. Wait for me, your Eli, always." Tears blurred the ink, but Connor laughed through them, a sound like breaking ice. He showed Evan at dawn, the two of them tangled in sheets, tracing the loops. "He waited," Connor said. "And lost." Evan's jaw tightened. "We won't." Spring thawed the fields, and with it came the store's grand reopening. Gallagher and Sons Hardware, banners fluttering in the April breeze. Connor's designs popped, vintage fonts, wave motifs weaving through aisles of nails and lumber. The town turned out, farmers in flannel, the mayor with a ribbon, even old Tommy Riley, broader now, clapping Connor on the back. "Heard about your grandpa's secret. Kinda makes sense, always had that far-off look." Evan manned the grill out back, burgers sizzling, his laugh drawing crowds. Dale sidled up to Connor amid the chatter, voice low. "Crowds bigger than Dad's wildest dreams. You did good, kid." "We did." But as the sun dipped, a shadow fell, literal and not. Uncle Dale's ex-wife, Marlene, arrived unannounced, her convertible purring to a stop, red lipstick stark against a face lined with grudges. She'd left Dale a decade back for a life in Akron, but rumors said she'd circled back, sniffing opportunity. "Heard Harlan cut you in," she purred to Connor, air-kissing cheeks. "Smart boy. Family silver lining. Ha!" Her eyes lingered on Evan, praising, then flicked to Dale with a wink. Connor's stomach twisted. Marlene had always been the opportunist, the one who'd whispered poisons at family gatherings before bolting. That night, back in Columbus, the buzz lingered like champagne gone flat. Evan sensed it, pouring wine as they unpacked takeout. "Spill. That auntie gave you the creeps. Ex-auntie. Marlene. She's trouble." Connor recounted her history. The affairs, the alimony fights, how she'd once tried to sell family heirlooms behind Dale's back. "Showing up now? Smells like she's after the store's glow-up." Evan nodded, thoughtful. "Boundaries, babe. You've earned your peace." But boundaries blurred come summer, when Marlene embedded, crashing at Rita's, helping with store books that Dale swore were fine. She flattered Connor's designs, cooed over Evan's tattoos, such artistry. But her questions probed Harlan's trust. "Liquid yet?" Dale mentioned percentages. Connor brushed her off, but unease festered. July heat wave hit like a fever, the Scioto swelling with rain. Connor and Evan escaped to the river one weekend. Harlan's old spot, rods in hand, cooler packed with beers. They cast lines at dawn, mist rising like ghosts, Evan's head on Connor's shoulder as fish nibbled but didn't bite. "Think Grandpa fished here with Eli?" Evan mused. "Probably dreamed of it." Connor reeled in empty, frustration mirroring the line. Marlene's pushing Dale to expand, sell online, cut corners. Says it's for the family. Evan's eyes narrowed. "And you?" "I'm not selling out." But doubt crept, freelance dried up, bills nipped heels. The store was security, a tether to Harlan's ghost. Back home, the call came mid-August. Dale, slurring slightly. "Con. Emergency meeting." Marlene found discrepancies in Dad's books. "Come quick." Heart pounding. Connor drove solo, Evan at a late shift, arriving to the store lit harsh under fluorescence. Marlene waited with Dale, papers spread like a battlefield. "Harlan hid assets," she announced, eyes gleaming. "Offshore. Maybe. We need to dig." Dale looked haggard, nodding. "Family first, right?" Connor scanned the docs. Forged, he realized with a chill. Timestamps off, numbers fudged. "This is bullshit." "Dad wouldn't." "Watch your tone," Marlene snapped. "We're protecting you." "Protecting." The word twisted. As she leaned in, perfume cloying, Connor saw it, her play, to sow chaos, force a sale she could profit from. Betrayal burned, Dale, witting or not, complicit. He stormed out, rain lashing the lot, phoning Evan from the truck. "It's a setup. She's turning him against me." "Get home," Evan urged. "We'll figure it." But the next day, Rita called, voice quivering. "Connor, Dale's saying you knew about hidden money. Accusing you of influencing Grandpa. It's ugly." Sung Dot erupted at a family dinner. Linda insisted on neutral ground, her kitchen. Tensions simmered from the start. Marlene at the table like a thorn, Dale avoiding eyes, Rita praying over mashed potatoes. Connor arrived with Evan, ring glinting defiantly. Let's cut the crap, Connor said. Disgrace. Marlene's docs are fake. I had a friend run them, digital forensics buddy from college. Dale flushed. You calling me a liar? Calling her one. He slid printouts across. Timestamps exposed. IP traces to Marlene's laptop. Silence crashed. Marlene's facade cracked. This is slander. But Dale's face crumpled. Realization dawning. You. Forged? For what? A payout. She bolted. Sputtering excuses. Tires squealing into night. The room exhaled. Rita murmuring amens. Linda's hand on Connor's. But Dale lingered. Voice small. I should have seen. After Dad's letter. Thought I was honoring him. Family. You did, Connor said. Softer. We all screw up. Evan's arm around his waist grounded him. A silent we've got this. As they left, stars pricking the sky, Connor felt the rivers pull again. Cleansing. Forward. Fall painted Millersburg in fire, and with it, weddings plans bloomed. Connor and Evans, small, courthouse simple, but with touches. Waves on invitations. Eli's letter read at vows. Linda hosted the rehearsal at the house. Rita baking. Even Dale toasting awkwardly. To blood and the ones we choose. The ceremony, under October oaks by the Scioto, was magic unadorned. Evan in a button-down rolled to tattoos. Connor in chinos. Rings exchanged with river mud on boots. I vow to see you, Connor said, voice carrying. All of you, always. Vows echoed Eli's, wait, love, rise. As they kissed, cheers rose, family blending with friends. Tommy Riley clapping, Evan's parole officer grinning. But joy's peak held peril's shadow. Post-honeymoon, a weekend cabin in Hocking Hills, Connor returned to a voicemail from Hargrove, Harlan's full estate. Complication. Marlene's contesting, claiming fraud on the letter. Rage flared. Betrayal's sequel. She'd lawyered up, spinning tales of coercion, painting Harlan's coming out as senility, Connor as manipulator. She's not stopping, Connor told Evan, pacing their kitchen, leaves swirling outside. Evan pulled him down, fierce. Then we fight. Together, the battle lines drew, depositions in Hargrove's office, Marlene's attorney sneering across tables. Your grandfather was coerced, vulnerable man, influenced by lifestyle. Connor's testimony burned. He chose truth. Like I choose love. Evan's turn gutted her. Calm. Unflinching. Harlan mailed that letter months before. Witnesses. Postmarks. Your client's desperate. Cracks showed. Marlene's exes testifying to her cons. Dale recanting support. Rita even spoke. Bible in lap. God don't honor lies. On. Harlan found peace. Let him keep it. November court. Rain sheeting windows. Judge ruled swift. Contest dismissed. Costs to Marlene. She slunk away, a ghost banished. As snow dusted the gavel's echo, Connor and Evan stepped out, free. It's over, Connor breathed. Evan grinned, snowflakes in lashes. Nah. Just beginning. Back in Millersburg for Thanksgiving. First without Harlan, but with his spirit. The table groaned with turkey. Talk lighter. Dale raised glass. To revelations. Laughter rippled. Evan's hand warm in Connor's. Under the table, their rings clinked. A promise etched deeper than ink. Winter gripped Ohio like a grudge. Ice glazing roads and tempers alike. The store thrived despite it. Connor's online revamp pulling orders from Cincinnati. Evan's murals drawing Instagrammers who bought paint alongside hammers. But peace, hard won, proved slippery. Marlene's shadow lingered in whispers. That woman's trouble, but blood's blood. Dale doubled down on loyalty, hiring Connor full-time, but trust's fractures spiderwebbed. One January Eve, as Connor locked up, phone buzzed, unknown number. Mr. Gallagher, this is Detective Ruiz, Millersburg PD. Need you at the station. Regarding your uncle. Heart slamming. He raced over. Evan meeting him in the lot. Face grim from a heads-up text. Inside. Sterile fluorescence buzzed over Dale. Cuffed to a table. Eyes bloodshot. Ruiz explained terse. Embezzlement. Skimming store funds, small at first. For debts Marlene left. Then bolder post-reopening. Trail leads back months. Your partner's designs funded it. Connor's world tilted. Evan? No. Not accusing. Ruiz cut in. But questions. Evan bristled beside him. Ask away. I've got alibis thicker than your coffee. Interrogation dragged. Dale's confession spilling. Pressured by Marlene's threats to expose family secrets. He dipped into the trust. Forged receipts. Thought I was protecting us, he mumbled. Gaze on Connor. After Dad. Didn't want to lose the store too. Betrayal's knife twisted deeper. Not just theft, but weaponizing Harlan's legacy. Connor stormed out mid-statement, while rising, Evan trailing. He used us, Connor choked. Snow whipping faces. My designs. Your time gone. Evan yanked him into an alley hug. Fierce. We'll rebuild. But Dale. He's family. Family doesn't steal. Back home. Fury ebbed to ache. Evan brewed tea. Strong as his silence. Until Connor broke. What if I'm the curse? Grandpa's disgrace. Now this. Bullshit. Evan's eyes blazed. You're the glue. Without you, it had crumbled sooner. Charges pressed light. Restitution. Probation. Dale's war hero son status buying leniency. But the store? A gut punch. Insurance clawed back pennies. Locals gossiped. Sales dipped. Connor poured nights into recovery plans. Evan sketching reborn murals. But strain showed. Arguments over budgets. Silences heavy as lead. February brought a deeper cut. Connor's freelance client, a big Columbus firm, pulled a campaign ethics review. They cited vaguely. Whispers traced to Millersburg, Marlene. From exile. Seeding doubts online. Anonymous posts. Gallagher heir thief's nephew? Paranoia bloomed. Connor checked locks twice. Scrolled reviews obsessively. Evan noticed. Pulling him to bed early. Hey. We're not them. But doubt festered. One night, after a screaming match, Connor accusing Evan of enabling Dale. Evan firing back on Connor's isolation. The air crackled. You think I want this mess? Evan yelled. I'm in it because I love you. Idiot. Not the drama. Connor recoiled. Words landing like slaps. Maybe that's the problem. My family's poison. Evan's face shuddered. Then fix it. Or let me go. Silence stretched. Broken only by the radiator's hiss. Evan left for the couch. Door clicking soft as finality. Morning brought regret's hangover. Connor found Evan packing. Duffel half-zipped. Tattoos stark in dawn light. Don't, Connor begged. Kneeling. I panicked. You're my river. Don't dry up. Evan paused. Eyes searching. Promise me talk, not walls. Promise. They mended slow, therapy sessions in Columbus, a queer-affirming counselor who unpacked Harlan's ghost, Dale's betrayal as echo. Evan opened 2 foster scars, fear of abandonment. Rings stayed on, tighter. Spring equinox. They returned to the river rods, but no lines cast. Instead, letters. Connor penning to Eli's memory, Evan to his younger self. Forgiveness isn't forgetting, the therapist said. It's freeing. Dale's first visit post-probation was awkward. Coffee at the store, hands fidgeting. I sold the truck. Covering what I took. Pause. Proud of you, Con. For fighting clean. Connor nodded, throat tight. Join the fight. Part-time. When ready. Dale's grin cracked, hope's first bloom. But climax brewed in May. Marlene's countermove, lawsuit. Not against the store, personal. Claiming Harlan's letter forged by Connor. Eli a fiction. Demanding the trust's dissolution. Vindication, her filing sneered. For a grieving widow's kin. Widow, Marlene's gall never wed Harlan, but spinning as moral heir. Subpoenas flew. Family deposed. Eli's letter carbon dated. Authentic. 1954 Inc. Connor's testimony loomed. A high-wire act. Prep nights blurred. Evan drilling him gentle. Linda baking stress relief cookies. Rita prayed fierce. Even Dale testified. She manipulated me. Letters real. Dad's heart. Court day dawned muggy. Millersburg courthouse fans whirring lazy. Marlene preened in pearls. Attorney bombast. Mr. Gallagher. He boomed at Connor on stand. You came out amid Grandpa's decline. Convenient timing for inheritance grab. Objections flew, but sting landed. Connor steadied. Evan's gaze anchor from the gallery. Timing? Grandpa mailed it pre-diagnosis. Saw my pain, his own, and chose truth over silence. Cross-exam dug. And this Eli? Convenient ghost. Connor slid the letter across. Not ghost. Lover. Read it. Jury murmured as words echoed. Raw. Romantic. Real. Marlene's face blanched. Her turn crumbled. Exes recounting cons. A diary entry boasting Gallagher takedown. Easy mark. Judge dismissed mid-recess. Contempt charges for her attorney. Outside. Rain broke, cleansing pour. Family clustered. Linda hugging. Rita teary. Dale clapping backs. Evan pulled Connor aside. Under eaves. You slayed. Kiss tasted victory salt. We did. Summer solstice. Store picnic by the river. Grills smoking. Kids splashing. Dale flipping burgers redeemed. Connor and Evan danced slow to a boombox Springsteen. Waves lapping approval. But human hearts scar slow. One night, post-picnic, Connor dreamed Eli foxhole shadows, Harlan young and yearning. Woke gasping, Evan stirring. Talk, he urged. I fear losing you, Connor confessed. Like he lost Eli, Evan cupped his face. You won't. Vow it, rivers run deep, deep, they ran. Fall harvest brought expansion. Online store booming. Connor's art classes at the community center. Drawing queer icons. Waves of acceptance. Thanksgiving redux. Table fuller. Marlene a footnote. Toasts to Harlan. Eli. Loves unseen. Dales. To disgraces who turn out saints. Laughter healed. As snow teased. Connor and Evan drove cityward. Hands linked. Next chapter, Evan asked. Us, Connor said. Unveiled. Autumn's fire faded to winter's hush, but momentum held. The store stabilized. Connor balancing ledgers and canvases, Evan expanding his parlor with a legacy ink line, inspired by Eli, waves intertwining hidden names. Their apartment, once cramped, felt expansive, shelves of sketchbooks, a shared desk scarred with coffee rings. Yet, under harmony hummed unresolved chords. Connor's dreams persisted, Eli's face morphing into fears of impermanence. December brought a gift unbidden. Hargrove's final envelope, postmarked Harlan's desk. For Connor when ready. Inside, not cash, but photos, yellowed Kodaks of a young Harlan, arms slung around a grinning GI Eli, unmistakably, eyes crinkled like Evans in laughter. Back, Poussin 52. A ridge. A note, burn if you must. Or build on it. Connor didn't burn. Framed, it hung by their bed, a talisman of possibles. Holidays split them gentle. Evan to his sisters in Dayton, foster-mended ties. Connor to Millersburg, where Linda's tree twinkled with new ornaments, wave-etched glass from a local blower. Dale gifted tools engraved suns. Rita a quilt stitched with river motifs. For warmth, she said, I soft. Inside and out. New Year's Eve. They rang in Columbus style. Rooftop bar overlooking the Scioto. Fireworks blooming like confessions. Evan pulled Connor close amid cheers. Resolution. More adventures. Like. Road trip. Chase Eli's ghost. Whatever's left. January thawed plans. Tracing Eli Thorne via archives. A queer history buff in DC emailing leads. Turns out, Eli settled in San Francisco post-war. Bartender. Activist seed in the Castro's soil. Died 89. But letters archived at GLBT Historical Society. Road trip, Connor echoed, pulse quickening. They flew west in February, hearts light as carry-ons. San Francisco hit like revelation. Fog-kissed hills, rainbow flags snapping proud. The society, cozy archive smelling of paper and progress, yielded gold. Eli's journals, Harlan's replies tucked like pressed flowers. Miss your heat, soldier. Ohio's cold without it. Reading aloud in a sunlit alcove, Evan tracing Connor's jaw. They had this. We have more. Kiss sealed it. Archive hush be damned. Castro wanderings deepened. Murals of Stonewall echoes. A tattoo parlor where Evan swapped stories with grizzled artists. One night, at a dive Eli haunted, they toasted ghosts, whiskey burning paths to truths. Grandpa waited, Connor mused, bar light gilding his ring. We don't. Evan's grin wicked. Damn right. Return East carried charge. Connor pitched a podcast, Hidden Rivers, Queer Legacies, blending Harlan's story with others. Evan inked the logo, Wave River merging coasts. Millersburg skeptics warmed. Even the mayor guested, admitting his uncle's unspoken life. But spring unearthed thorns. Marlene resurfaced, not vengeful, but broken, letter to Linda, postmarked Akron poorhouse. Lost everything. Harlan's boy, forgive, need work. Audacity or atonement. Family debated over Easter ham. Rita for mercy. Dale wary. Linda torn. Connor decided. Interview at the store. Probationary. Like Dad would've second chances. She arrived humbled. Lipstick faded. Eyes haunted. I chased security, she confessed over coffee. Twisted it ugly. Prove change. Tasks menial. Stocking shelves. No books. She took it, quiet, earning nods. Evan watched skeptical. Risky. Human, Connor countered. We're all disgraces redeemed. May bloomed conflict anew. Not Marlene, but within. Connor's podcast gained traction. NPR tease. Viral clips but spotlight scorched. Trolls bayed. Grief porn queer bait. Family dinners tensed. Dale fielded customer barbs. Rita shielded prayers. Worse, Evan's past resurfaced. Old associate, parole violator, cornered him post-shift. Need a favor, Inkman. Or I spill to your pretty boys fam. Blackmail, petty theft setup, pinning on Evan to taint the store. Leverage, the thug leered. Evan confessed to Connor midnight. Voice ash. Can't let it touch you. Fight it. But fear clawed. Evan's record. A chain's echo. They reported. Ruiz investigating. But stain lingered. Podcast episode on betrayal aired raw. Connor's voice cracking on Harlan's deathbed. Weaving Evan's siege. Listeners flooded support, donations. Stories, but media sniffed. Local scandal. Hardware heirs partner in peril? Paparazzi light hounded Millersburg. Flashes at the store. Mics in faces. Dale snapped. Leave my boy be. Boy. Singular, but encompassing. Crisis peaked June solstice. Thug's trial. Evan testifying. Connor gallery bound. Accusations flew, perjury claims. Character smears. Felon's word against upstanding citizen. Prosecutor sneered. Evan held. Voice steel. I've changed. Love changed me. Jury saw. Conviction swift. Thug jailed. Outside. Press swarmed. Connor shielded Evan. No comment but a kiss defiant. Front page. Aftermath. Backlash and bloom. Marlene. Proving mettle. Chased off a reporter with a broom. Vultures. Her laugh, first genuine, earned a raise. Podcasts surged. Sponsors queer-owned. Family fortified. Linda's pride pin. Rita's ally march. July heat wave. They escaped. Cabin redux. Hocking Hills. No rods. Just stargazing. Evan's head in lap. Scars fade. Connor murmured. Tracing ink. Yours too. Evan's hand on belly. Subtle swell? Wait. No metaphor. Wait. Story bends. Humanity's arc. Forgiveness loops. Dale apologized formal. Over river fish. Failed you. Won't again. Acceptance sealed. August brought pivot. Store expansion. Columbus satellite. Connor helmed. Evan consulting designs. Marlene managed Millersburg. Redemption's quiet crown. But climax crested September. Podcast finale live. Millersburg Town Hall. Theme. Unspeechless. Families sharing hidden truths. Crowd swelled. Farmers outing kin. Teachers nodding. Connor moderated. Evan stage side. Rita spoke first. Prayed wrong once. Now, praise. Dale, blood's choice too. Linda, loved silent. No more. Connor closed. Grandpa's letter? Not end, invitation. Q&A flowed, tears, laughter. Post-event. Evan pulled him backstage. Proud. Kiss deepened. Future tanged. Fall waned. Wedding anniversary neared, year one. Plans intimate. River vow renewal. Eli's words recited. But twist. Marlene's secret, pregnant? No. Letter. Eli descendant contact. Via podcast. Niece. In Ohio. Seeking roots. Meeting, Healing's horizon. As leaves fell, Connor reflected, disgrace to speechless journey's grace. October's chill whispered endings, but for Connor and Evan, it heralded harvest of legacies claimed, loves solidified. The Eli niece, Sarah Thorne, mid-40s, librarian from Toledo, arrived unassuming, scarf knotted like Eli's photo smile. Coffee at the store, Harlan's desk dusted for occasion. Auntie mentioned the podcast, she said, eyes crinkled like her uncle's warm. Eli wrote of a Harlan. Never knew the depth. Photos exchanged. Stories swapped. Eli's Castro letters home. Veiled loves. Harlan's Ohio silences. Now voiced. Sarah's gift. Eli's dog tags. Engraved heartback. For the Riverkeeper, she said, clasping Connor's hand. Evan watched, thumb rubbing his own ink. Family expands. November grayed skies, but hearts glowed. Thanksgiving redux. Sarah invited. Table a mosaic Thorne Gallagher mash. Toasts cascaded. To ghosts who paved. To presence unbroken. Marlene. Belly round now, redemption surprise. Local suitor. Honest. Raised cider. To fresh starts. Laughter peeled. Kids chasing fireflies in dusk, humanity's spark. Podcast rap triumphant. Book deal whispers. Tour dates. Connor penned prologue, Harlan's letter full. Eli's coda. Evan illustrated. Waves bridging coasts. Rivers of ink. Winter solstice. Anniversary eve. Riverbank. Lanterns floating. Vows renewed under stars. Rings kissed. To seeing, Connor echoed. To depths, Evan added. Kiss sealed. Eternal as current. Spring 26 bloomed bold. Store chainlet. Columbus flagship with queer art gallery annex. Evan mentored apprentices, ex-cons inked toward futures. Dale retired gentle. Fishing with Connor. Tales of Eli swapped like bait. Rita's church, rainbow banners now. Her sermons on prodigal graces. Linda, traveled, San Francisco first. Tracing Eli's steps with Connor. Evan. Fog-kissed hills. They scattered Harlan's ashes, saved portion. Into bay. Rivers meet seas. Years unspooled. Adoptions pondered. Waves of change. Connor's novel dropped. Disgrace unveiled. Bestseller quiet. Hearts touched. Evan's parlor franchised. Legacy lines honoring hidden. One dawn. Scioto missed. Rods cast true, fish biting. Lines taught. Grandpa'd approve, Connor said. Reeling silver flash. Evan grinned. Arms slung. Eli too. Family picnic swelled. Sarah's kids splashing. Marlene's toddler gurgling. Betrayals? Footnotes. Lessons etched. Climax long past. But echoes. Annual readings, Eli's letter. Harlan's will, town tradition. Speechless to symphony. Ketuk Nan Van. Not flawless, but full. Connor. Once disgrace. Now beacon, loving open. Legacy bridged. In twilight porch swings. Evan's head on shoulder. Connor whispered. Worth the storm. Every drop. Evan murmured. And the river flowed on wild. Unapologetic. Home.